Hey, my name is Aiden Dever, and welcome back to CelloDev Reviews. Today we are going to be talking about the infamous NPR Tiny Desk and taking a look into some of the ways it came about, kind of what they do as a whole, and why we like it. Why is it important? And why do we keep coming back to this sort of art form? To start, we're all probably pretty familiar about what NPR is, the National Public Radio, and how they are a media and news outlets for hundreds of thousands of people across the globe. Among some of the media that they produce is their Tiny Desk concert series, which started in about 2008 with creators Bob Bolin and Stephen Thompson. So the story goes that those two were going to see a concert for folk singer Laura Gibson. And while they were at the concert, they were joking about how they couldn't hear the performer. And Thompson proceeded to joke to Bolin that he should invite the singer to come and perform at her desk. About a month later, Bolin arranged for that just to happen. And from that impromptu performance, we get the creation of Tiny Desk. So the question is, what is Tiny Desk? Tiny Desk is an small, intimate concert series where they would invite artists from around the globe to come and give a short concert series, usually only 3 or 4 songs, about 20 minutes worth of music, to kind of give an introduction to who the artists are, what kind of music they are, what message they're sending, and for them to get their names out there. So the type of artists that they invite in can range from very small up-and-coming artists and composers to very big names in the field. And that range really gives voice to all sorts of people to come and see different types of music and get their names out there a little bit more. So with the Tiny Desk project and whatever artists that they invite in, they typically do 3 to 4 songs in front of a small audience that is then recorded and put online. And the thing about any of these songs that they choose is that the artists choose them, and it doesn't necessarily have to be their number one hits or, their songs that they're known for. It can be anything that they choose and the way that they choose to do them. One really fun example of this was Tame Impala, who was invited on Tiny Desk about, I think, 3 to 6 months ago now, and who had just released their new hit song, Dracula. For those of you who don't know, Tame Impala is sort of a psychedelic new wave Australian music produced by the main artist, Kevin Parker, who partners with various musicians. But it's very heavy on this sort of techno, MIDI files using synths and all sorts of processing with their music. But something really interesting that they did for this Tiny Desk performance was to do it all acoustic and all on guitars. So he was taking this sort of stripped back performance style and doing his new song that had just been released that morning, the day of his concert, and did it all acoustic. So just kind of reiterating how the artist can really choose what kind of music they want to do and how they want to do it, sort of saying what kind of message do they want to send. And if we're thinking about any type of messages, another performance that happened quite recently, I think within the past 2 weeks or so, was the Kronos String Quartet. They're a famous quartet that travels around the country and a really big name. But for their performance, they chose to make a variety of political statements talking about social injustice, climate change, politics, with their works that they were doing. So from the artist's perspective, we get to see a clear message about who they are, kind of the message that they're trying to send and what they're trying to invoke in the audience. But from the audience perspective, this can be a very new and inviting experience for us. Sometimes we listen to these songs on the radios and never really get a chance to see who the artists are. What they look like, what kind of group they have, or what kind of energy or demeanor they have as a performer. So this gives us an insight to see what a live performance of them looks like without having to pay to go see them necessarily, giving us a sort of accessible media to watch them from home. we can then also kind of see what performance they are putting on. So how do we like these artists as performers? Not just their vocals, but how do they act on stage? What's their presence, their demeanor? What kind of tone and energy do they have when they're talking to the audience there? Typically, they'll talk about some of their songs and just share a little bit about them. Like, yeah, what kind of faces are they making? How do they act when they're performing? Like, oh, if they have a mess up or something, how do they recover, and what kind of energy are they sending out? I think gives us a deeper insight to either why we might feel a better connection with these artists and either like or dislike them more. One other thing I did kind of previously touch on that I'd like to talk about now is the sort of collaborators that they work with. So if they're solo artists, like for instance Leve, who is a modern sort of bossa nova jazz singer and composer who has been bringing back a lot of jazz style. So she herself is a cellist and a pianist. And so she was playing some piano solo for her Tiny Desk performance, but she also invited a local string quartet to come and play with her. So this group isn't necessarily associated with her, but she went out and was hiring people within the community to collaborate and give opportunities and work towards, and gives them an opportunity to get their names out there as well. One thing we can also talk about is the type of sound of a performer. Some performers, yes, like Tame Impala, do rely on a lot of heavy electronic equipment and distortion or even auto-tune or something like that. Not saying that they do that, but it's like, how do these artists sound on various recordings that maybe we haven't come to know and love versus how do they sound in a live acoustic audience? So yeah, like Tame Impala, where he was doing this entire acoustic set, and for me listening to it for the first time compared to like listening to all of his music beforehand, I was thrown off a little bit. I was like, whoa, like I hadn't really heard him in this sense before, and I didn't know if I actually liked it at first. But the more I listened to it, and the more I kind of got used to that style and the way that he was addressing audiences, it felt very goofy and casual, the way that his energy came off, which made me enjoy the performance even more. Thinking about some other artists who are typically more acoustic, like Norah Jones or the Marias or Faye Webster, all of their Tiny Desk concerts sounded fairly similar to some of their recordings that they have out. And if I'm going to be honest, without some of the added electric, I think I personally liked some of these acoustic performances more because they felt more intimate and small. Being in a smaller recorded space and for a small audience, even though it is broadcasted online, it gives a very intimate feel. So at the end, what is the point of Tiny Desk? Why do we like this? Why do we keep coming back to it? And what sets them apart from any other recorded media that is being put out there? I think it would probably have to start with publicity and the fact that NPR as a news and media outlet already has a very high and sophisticated standing. When they started this, I feel like people were eager to jump in. And since they have established over 18 years of this recording and Tiny Desk concert series, there have been numerous artists from all over the world just really stacking their resume and making it more desirable for other artists to come in. And this is also providing plenty of funding opportunities for them as well. Publicity for getting the artist out, which is a mutual benefit for the news media and the artists, because they're, both making money off of this and the recorded performance. But also it benefits the viewers because they get to have an insight to who these performers are and if they want to actually keep supporting them. From the artist perspective, there's also something to say about making a very specific and intentional choice about partnering with NPR and what that says about you as an artist and your ideology. There's been a lot of conversation over the past couple of years about free speech, about media reporting, and a freedom of press. And especially in the past year, since federal funding has been cut to a lot of these press and media sources, there is a very intentional choice about choosing to partner with NPR, who tends to be a very non-biased and moderate news reporting media source. And even if you as an artist may not mean for anything to come off this way, that still does say something about you. And regardless of how you mean it, your audience can interpret it in one way or the other. So, regardless of anything, I think NPR Tiny Desk has been a fantastic project to give artists some voice and some life that is well needed, and to give the audience a chance to see these artists in a very intimate and vulnerable space, which is really refreshing and different. Overall, I love to see an opportunity to see an old artist from a new light, or find some up-and-coming new artist that I've never heard before but I'm waiting to fall in love with. Regardless, I don't know about you guys, but I will be patiently awaiting for the next NPR Tiny Desk release. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of content, feel free to leave a like below, or if you have any other topics that you're interested in discussing or want me to discuss, feel free to comment. This has been CelloDev Reviews. Thanks so much for watching.